the intern who exposed the truth the first time Marcus Daniels walked into Titan Corp. The glass doors seemed taller than the tallest skyscraper in the city, and the echo of his shoes on the marble floor felt louder than any applause he had ever heard. He was 22, fresh out of college, and this was his dream internship, the kind that could change his life. But from the moment he stepped in, Marcus felt the weight of expectations, not just from the company, but from the silent judgments that seemed to follow him wherever he went. The receptionist barely looked up from her phone. The security guard gave him a polite nod, but the eyes of the employees he passed whispered things he didn't want to hear. Some looked at him as if he were invisible, others with the kind of quiet doubt that cuts deeper than insults. Just an intern, he heard a woman whisper to her colleague. He probably won't last a week. Marcus forced a calm smile and reminded himself why he was there. He belonged. And he had something no one else did: his mind and his determination. At 22, Marcus had already faced prejudice more times than he could count. Growing up in a working-class neighborhood, he had learned early that the world often judged him before he spoke a single word. Teachers underestimated him, classmates mocked him, and even strangers assumed he didn't belong in spaces he had every right to be in. But he had also learned resilience, and a quiet fire had been burning inside him ever since he was a teenager. The fire to prove himself, not for pride, but for justice and for his family, who depended on him. Marcus's first day began with orientation. He met Linda, a senior analyst, who welcomed him with a kind smile. "You must be Marcus," she said. "Don't worry. Everyone starts somewhere. If you need help, I'm here." Marcus felt a flicker of hope. Not everyone here was blinded by prejudice, but the office was a different world than he had imagined. Subtle dismissals, sideways glances, whispers in corners, they followed him like shadows. At lunch, a group of interns discussed a project he had studied extensively. When he offered his thoughts, one of them waved his hand dismissively. "Oh, relax. Let the real interns handle it." Marcus swallowed the sting and reminded himself that patience was part of the game, that patience was tested sooner than he expected. A week into his internship, Marcus was asked to organize financial reports for the last quarter. What should have been a routine task quickly turned into something that made his stomach churn. As he sifted through a spreadsheet after spreadsheet, a number caught his eye, then another, and another. Millions of dollars were unaccounted for. Marcus's hands shook slightly as he double-checked the numbers. He traced the transactions meticulously, following the money like a trail of breadcrumbs. And then it became clear. Someone had been siphoning funds for years, and the trail led straight to the CEO, Gerald Whitmore. Marcus felt a cold fear grip him. He knew the power Whitmore wielded and the untouchable reputation he held, but fear couldn't silence the voice inside him, urging him to act. He turned to Linda, showing her every discrepancy. Her eyes widened, disbelief mingled with concern. "Marcus, are you certain?" she asked. "I triple-checked," he replied. "This isn't a mistake. Someone is hiding millions, and it points straight to the top." Linda looked around nervously. "Marcus, if it's true, it's dangerous. Are you ready for that?" He nodded. "I have to be. This isn't just about me. It's about doing what's right." From that day, Marcus's life became a delicate balancing act. During office hours, he meticulously documented every irregularity, often staying late into the night. At home, his family relied on him. His younger sister Kayla struggled with school, and his mother worked 2 jobs just to keep the bills paid. Marcus couldn't afford to make mistakes, couldn't afford to be silent, and couldn't afford to be underestimated. Outside the office, the world reminded him daily of the bias he faced. On the subway, a man muttered under his breath, as Marcus took a seat. In his neighborhood, Older neighbors assumed he was unemployed because he worked as an intern. Everywhere he went, there were whispers, assumptions, prejudices he hadn't asked for but had to navigate. Yet, every insult, every doubt, every sideways glance strengthened his resolve. Inside Titan Corp, the tension escalated. Colleagues whispered about him, often underestimating his intelligence because of his age, his position, and his race. One afternoon, Marcus accidentally overheard Whitmore in his office, speaking with his assistant. "We need to make sure no one finds out," Whitmore said, his voice cold and dismissive. "That kid can't be trusted. He's just a token intern, anyway." Marcus clenched his fists so hard he could feel the pressure in his knuckles. The injustice of it fueled him. Instead of fear, determination surged through him. He confided, "In Linda, they think I won't fight back because I'm me," he said. "But I have proof. I can't let them get away with this." Linda hesitated, then nodded. "It's dangerous, Marcus, but I believe in you." The following weeks were tense. Every day, Marcus felt the weight of scrutiny. HR ignored his warnings at first, dismissing him as inexperienced. Some colleagues actively tried to sabotage him, spreading rumors that he was ambitious in the wrong ways, that he was imagining things. Each time, Marcus reminded himself that the truth doesn't need excuses. It only needs courage. At home, the pressure mounted. Kayla had a big test, and his mother had a medical bill. Marcus often found himself torn between chasing justice at work and being present for his family. One night, after a long day of analyzing records, he returned to find Kayla crying over homework she didn't understand. He knelt beside her, setting aside his own exhaustion. "Hey," he said softly, "we'll figure this out together." That simple moment grounded him. Justice wasn't just a corporate ideal, it was personal. It was about fighting for what was right, for people who couldn't fight for themselves, for families like his. Finally, Marcus knew the time had come. He compiled every piece of evidence: spreadsheets, emails, financial logs, transaction trails. He didn't act rashly. He had learned patience. Late one night, he sent the compiled evidence directly to the board of directors. The next morning, the office was in chaos. Whispers spread like wildfire. The board convened immediately. Marcus sat quietly at his desk, watching as the unraveling began. "These transactions, it's him," one board member said. "Whitmore's been embezzling millions for years." The fallout was immediate. Gerald Whitmore was suspended and eventually investigated. Media outlets reported the scandal, painting Marcus as the courageous whistleblower who risked everything to expose the truth. Colleagues who had doubted him now stared in awe, some in shame. He did it," someone whispered. "The intern, he exposed Whitmore." Marcus didn't celebrate. Pride mingled with a deep, sober understanding of how much he had endured. Prejudice hadn't been eradicated, had tried to silence him, but integrity and courage had won this round. In the aftermath, Titan Corp began to rebuild. Policies were rewritten and transparency was promised. Marcus continued his internship, but he was no longer just the intern. He was a symbol, a reminder that bias cannot suppress truth, that courage has no color. Linda approached him one afternoon, smiling. "Marcus, you changed everything. You proved that courage and truth can't be ignored, no matter what people think." Marcus looked out the window at the city skyline, thinking of his family, his struggles, and the battles he had fought. "I just wanted to be heard," he said. "Maybe now, people will listen to everyone, not just the ones they expect to succeed." And that is the lesson. Prejudice exists in many forms, spoken and unspoken. It whispers that some voices don't matter, but truth, courage, and integrity are louder than bias. Marcus's story reminds us that standing up, even when underestimated, can change the world. The world may try to silence you, but justice and determination are louder than discrimination. Speak up, stand strong. Justice has no color.